Last time I really participated in any activity to sell my stuff was at a afternoon show at my church for a fundraiser, and that was 3 years ago. I really don't do craft shows, so I'm not going to give you tips from an expert craft show person, but I want to tell you what I did, how I did it, and the results that I got from it, so that may be a benefit to you if you're doing some similar type of event. The only shows I've not participated in any long weekend shows, outdoor shows where I needed to buy a pop-up tent. I've only just done a few neighborhood shows and a couple of shows at my church. My analytical nature and military experience have taught me that when I'm doing an activity that I may be doing again in a future year, to make some notes on what I did, what worked, and what I might change next time. So I've done that. Let me share some of those notes from those neighborhood events. November of 2019, after action report. I brought my own table, but next year paid a $10 rental fee. It was cold since they left the door open because one vendor thought it was more inviting to have the door open. Wear a hat next year as it was cold. Almost lost my $55 bowl sale since I could not take a credit card. Only 30 minutes to haul in and set up, and less than that to pack up and go home. I needed a stack of vitamin pills and costume jewelry rings to put in the ring bowls to illustrate what they're for. Next time, leave most bowls at home. Now a little bit about the after action report from this show on December 6, 2020 in my neighborhood, 2 to 6 p.m. It was a light turnout, total revenue $211, less than $20 participation fee, netting $191. Thoughts for next year: continue focus on ornaments, but bring some low-cost stands for sale. Now, let me tell you about my show yesterday at the Sexton Hall Senior Center in Forsyth County, Cumming, Georgia. Actions I took before the show in terms of advertising: I posted on Facebook a ad that was provided by the senior services, as shown here. I posted that on my neighborhood Facebook page. I also announced the show a couple of days before in a senior exercise class I was participating in. I figured out a very simple pricing strategy as shown here, where I didn't have to price every item, but I could just put this in front of the stands. I figured out how I was going to take payments. I decided I was not going to take the time to learn how to take credit card payments with Square. I still have a credit card reader that plugs into the phone, but I haven't used it in years. I think a bigger, longer show with bigger ticket items, and I would need to figure out how to reuse Square to take credit card payments. I created a Venmo account, more on this later. And I obtained some folding money change. I planned my display. I planned what I was going to sell and kept it simple. The venue provided a table at no extra cost and a couple of folding chairs. I kept the variety of product I brought with me down to avoid having to put stickers on everything. I had 2 ornament stands that I could each place into a large box with the ornaments hanging for easy transport. These worked well on the other local shows that I previously mentioned. And I had one large tote that was able to carry everything else. I used a large black single bed sheet in the past to cover my table, but I loaned it out for an AARP tax aid recruiting booth and didn't get it back. So I ordered a fitted tablecloth for a 6-foot table as shown here. The bad news was the table they provided was 8 foot, so that didn't work, but I laid it on the table and covered up most of it. I cut some pieces of scrap PVC I had on hand to elevate the table provided by the venue, and that really enabled me to stand and talk to all the painters. This was a great tip from a local club member, Hans Meyer, who's done a lot of craft shows. I displayed my artist bio in a plastic or a plexiglass sleeve. During the show, I always stood up. I didn't sit in a chair when folks were coming up to my table. I stood up and greeted them and engaged them in conversation. Standing up, you have good eye contact. It doesn't work so well when you're sitting down and they're looking down at you. I tried to interest the visitors in the different items that I had, and I tried to talk them up a little bit. I'd pick up an item that had spalting on it and explain what spalting was. I would take a birdhouse ornament similar to this and show that it may have as many as 10 different pieces of wood in it, including 4 pieces in the bird. People like to buy a story, so if they can talk to the artist and it's something they can comment on with other people, and they like that. The lantern ornaments I had turned on, and I would explain that when you turned it on, the lights had a timer, and they'd stay on for 6 hours and then turn off for 18 hours and then recycle every day during the Christmas season while I was hanging on a tree. So that was a good selling point. Payments. My suggestion is count all the cash that you've got in your wallet and on you before you start, so you know exactly how much you started with, so you can reconcile at the end. I kept all the cash in my pocket or in billfold. Probably not real professional, but for this sale I don't think it made a lot of difference. If I had a larger show, I think I would either use a fanny pack if my wife's got one, or heck, I might even use a shop apron that's got pockets on it. Give me a little different look. Venmo worked real well with 3 customers that I might have lost a sale for if I hadn't had Venmo. Once you set the account up, one of them had to show me how you work it. But you just bring up the Venmo app. They click on it with their Venmo and key in the amount on their telephone, and they can describe what it was they bought. They push the button, you get a notification. You can see immediately on your phone that the transaction's gone through. So it's very effective. I skipped the receipt book since I felt like with the small items that I had, low cost, it was just as easy. Just write the item down and the dollar amount, and it wasn't necessarily have all the information about who the person was. I wasn't going to develop a mailing list out of this 3-hour senior show. So using a steno pad and writing the items down, dollar amount, helped me reconcile, let me keep a record of actually what sold and what didn't sell. Now after the show, with the product that I brought, I was able to pack everything up, back up in those 2 boxes in the tote, and get out of there in 30 minutes. I kind of considered this whole show as a dress rehearsal for a longer one that I planned for this fall with the local Arts and Crafts Council that I had to be juried. And it's a 2-day show indoors, don't need to buy a pop-up tent. And I will have to figure out how to use Square, because the card reader that I have now won't even work with my new phone. I've got to come up with, pay and get a Bluetooth reader if I'm going to take credit card information. And for this larger show, I'll have a more elaborate display with some shelving units that I can put more product on. I know a lot of y'all got a lot of craft show experience, so any tips or tricks you got, please leave them in the comments below. And remember, y'all stay safe. Come on back, you hear?